And welcome everybody to today's coaching clinic, where we're talking about handling, embracing, navigating low moods. If you're someone who, either is afraid of low moods or has grown up in a household where one of your parents was regularly in a low mood and it's left you living a bit on eggshells when people fall into a low mood nowadays, this one's really going to help you today. I've come to realize that one of the greatest benefits of understanding low moods for me personally has been that it has allowed me to grieve and fall into grief and fall into low moods, but not necessarily be frightened and stay there, or suddenly kind of be taken off course so completely that my life is totally upside down. So I think if you're going to get anything from any of the teachings that I'm sharing here, that if you get this one, if you see something around this one, it has the potential to change your experience of life completely. And we'll get into that a bit more in a few minutes. As always, I'd love to start with a little meditation, visualization, just get yourselves grounded here. So I'd invite you now to close your eyes as we take some time to gather and be present here. So feet on the floor as best you can, and just begin by slowing down the breath. In, 2, 3, 4. And out, 2, 3, 4. And in, 2, 3, 4. And out, 2, 3, 4. And whatever you've been doing prior to being here, or whatever you're going to do next, just if you can, set it aside for the moment and be as present as you can, letting the breath guide you. In, 2, 3, 4. And out, 2, 3, 4. You should feel yourself begin to sink more deeply into the chair. The stomach muscles relax more fully. The shoulders begin to soften. In, 2, 3, 4. And out, 2, 3, 4. And see roots coming from your feet, down through the floorboards, down through the ground, into the underground. Imagine those roots really pushing right down to a rock at the bottom of the earth. And wrap those roots around that rock, becoming grounded. This rock now emanates golden light, the light of your divine nature and wisdom. And just see that light pushing up through the roots, through the underground, through the ground, through the floorboards, up through your feet, your ankles, through your legs, your kneecaps, up through your thighs, your hips, on up through your torso, up through the chest, up to the top of the shoulders, out through the lengths of the arms, down through the hands and out through the fingers, and swishing back up now through the fingers, the hands, the arms, the shoulders, up through the neck, up into the head, and out through the head and the hair. Just see this golden light of your true essence enveloping you now, surrounding you now. If there's any part of your body today that you've been experiencing tension or pain in, just visualize now that golden light pulsating around that specific area. And in your mind's eye, I want you to see in front of you a beautiful little path. It's a golden path. And in front of you is a white gate. Let's open the gate now and walk onto the path. As you're walking on this golden path, just notice your surroundings. Any colors, any flowers, vegetation, trees. On up ahead of you is a lake. You're walking towards that lake now, still surrounded in your golden light. And as you approach the lake, just see that there's a bench on the other side. And I want you to walk around the lake to reach the bench. Have a seat on that bench. Feel the warm sunlight shining down upon you and upon the lake. Use your breath to the count of 4 to relax on into sitting on that bench. In, 2, 3, 4. And out. 2, 3, 4. Just be still for a few moments, sitting on that bench, noticing your surroundings. In this space, there's an opportunity to receive guidance. Perhaps you've had a question on your mind, a decision to make, a concern, a best path, swinging between 2 or 3 or 4 options. So whilst you're sitting here, you can set your intention to receive your answer to that query. You might receive it on the call today. You might receive it as you go to sleep tonight. You might wake up in the middle of the night and know the answer, or tomorrow morning. And for those of you that want to, you're welcome now to imagine that someone you trust, believe in, present or past, is coming towards you to sit with you on the bench. And with the help of this person, as they come towards you to sit with you, you're welcome to ask this person for guidance. Take a couple of moments now And don't worry if nothing obvious has come forth. Set your intention that you will receive the correct answer, correct direction in these next 24 hours. Thank this person. And as you stand up together, you embrace each other. And you head on your way back around the lake as they head their way and back onto the golden path. Walking along the golden path, taking in your surroundings, confident in your ability to know and feel what's right for you. You head towards the little white gate. And as you open the gate, imagine yourself stepping down back into this moment, into your body, into this earth, into this coaching clinic. See those roots coming from your feet down through the floorboards, the underground, right down to that rock at the bottom of the earth, and wrap those roots around that rock. Totally grounded here. Coming back to the room now, feeling clear. Completely relaxed. So there's something very powerful about setting intention for anything you're doing, whether it's this meditation we just did, or coming into a coaching clinic or a scenario where you're going to be helped, or going to sleep at night and just inviting the solution. In some of my darkest moments lately, I have been inviting a comforting feeling during my sleeping time. So simply setting the intention as I go to sleep that I will fall into a beautiful feeling in my sleep. And often when I wake up, I get to remember that when it's happened, because we fall out of all resistance. We fall out of all of our preconceived ideas and our judgments and our worries, and we get to fall back into our true nature. But setting intention is helpful. And that's what I've noticed about low moods. It's like I've yet to meet anybody who gets into a low mood and wants to stay there. Everybody I speak with tells me, I just want to be out of this low feeling, Grace. I just want to be out of this low mood. And with that desire, that is intention already. That is you saying, I'm ready to leap into a better feeling state. Now, the curious thing about that is humans are designed for well-being. We've literally come here with that app already installed to go back to well-being, to go back to feeling good, to fall back into our true nature. So the beauty of that is you never have to worry that you're going to stay stuck in a low mood, or you're going to not be able to handle your low moods, because you'll find that the feeling you're reaching for is a better feeling state, because that's just how you're made. We are not made to come here and be part of this world and to constantly feel like crap. There's some innate knowing in each of us that there's a better feeling experience available just around the corner. So that's the first thing I want to share about handling low moods. The less you're worried about falling into your low moods or them falling into their low moods, the less resistance is going on. And as a result of that, just like you're already designed to, your elevator of consciousness will go back up. So let me give it to you this way. If you can imagine the Empire State Building, when you get to the top of the Empire State Building, you have an incredible view of New York City. You can see all sorts of things that you simply cannot see on the second or third floor of the Empire State Building. Well, it's the same with our consciousness. As we go up in consciousness, we have an incredibly beautiful landscape. We feel good. We see more clearly. Suddenly, people who were a pain in the ass yesterday, we're ready to give them a bunch of flowers today. Suddenly, people who were causing us all sorts of problems don't seem to be such a big problem anymore. And the reason for that is not that they have suddenly changed overnight. That's the beauty of what we're exploring. Your circumstances don't need to change, and the people around you don't need to change. The beauty is that your consciousness changes. The elevator of consciousness goes up, and it's designed to. You're made that way. If you can get out of the way and be less in resistance to the mood you're in or the mood they're in, the easier the elevator will go back up. Okay, the quicker you'll be up on the upper floors, seeing life with a better view, seeing life more clearly. Up there, by the way, is a great place to make decisions from. Up there is a wonderful place to start projects from. Most people innocently are trying to make a decision or get a solution from the basement, okay, or from floor 2 or 3 of the elevator of consciousness. And then they wonder why life's not working out, or everything feels tough and hard, or simply they're living in regret. You know, I hear that a lot. Jesus Grace, I wish I hadn't have done that, or I wish I hadn't have said that. And so you want to be patient with yourself. You want to know that in a low mood, you or those around you, they've just dropped in consciousness. They're on floor 2 or 3, or maybe even the basement. And you and they are doing the best you can, depending on what floor you're currently operating on. Okay. Now, something that's very helpful to know is know your indicators for being on floor 2 or 3 of the elevator. Indicators of a low mood usually start like this: irritation, tension, stress, upset, starting to have poor communication with people around you. And if you don't catch your indicators early on, they get louder. So we go from those indicators to something stronger in the form of, now they're not just, people aren't just irritating, now they're bitches and bastards, right? Now there's not just a little bit of tension in our system. Now we're so bloody tense and stressed, we need drink and drugs to get us through the day. The alarm bell starts to get louder is what I'm saying. If you don't catch the early indicators and recognize, oh man, I'm just in a low mood, that's all. Oh man, the elevator of consciousness has just dropped again. Okay, we can handle this. Then the alarm bells will get louder and louder. Now, when you're in a low mood, you will go back to your old habits. Okay, in a different mood, in a higher level of consciousness, you're not using your habits as much as when you're in a low mood. So a great friend of yours is if you notice you're back in your old habit. One of my old habits is to go too quickly. life starts to speed up. I start feeling like I'm always in a rush and there's not enough time and I need to go here and I need to go there. That is a really clear indicator for me personally that there's been a drop. Time starts to shorten and everything starts to look urgent. Now, for you, you got to know your habit. You know, if you got a habit of urgency and you have to make a million decisions yesterday, or do you have a habit of maybe running to the cookie cupboard and needing more relief in the form of cookies or alcohol or cheese or shopping or sex or whatever? These habits are not to be judged. They are to be listened to. They are beautiful friends saying, hello, the elevator has dropped and you're still expecting yourself to be Superwoman or Superman. Okay. Now, let me share with you a very simple story that has often stood out in my mind, which you may have heard from me before. But this story was really, it was born of a trip home to Ireland that I did. And I remember just going into the kitchen and my father was sitting in front of a lot of financial documents and he was at the kitchen table and he was looking at this all. And his habit was, you know, in a low mood, you know, I never have enough time and life is awful and I got to get all this paperwork done before I can relax, before I can enjoy myself, before I can let myself off the hook. So he's in that mood, he's in that habit as I enter the kitchen. And I said to him, I'm going for a walk, do you want to come? And innocently, in his low mood, I don't have time for a walk. Okay, so communication starts getting irritable, right? An indicator. I don't have time for a walk. You're always on holidays. Your life's a holiday. You go for a walk. I got to get this done before I can relax, type of thing. He didn't mean it, but for the first time in my life, instead of me cowering down, oh yeah, Daddy's right. I should be, I should be working harder at life like he is, and I shouldn't be having a nice time. Instead of that, I suddenly saw my father was living in the basement of the elevator of consciousness in that moment. Do you know what that did for our relationship? I stopped taking his moods personally. And because I stopped taking his moods personally, our dynamic changed. Our ability to connect and communicate got easier and stronger and much nicer. As it happened, because I didn't react like I was in the wrong and he was in the right, and because I didn't take it personal the way he communicated with me, like I would have once done, I just said, okay, I'm going, see you later. And I put on my walking shoes. And by the time I'd got them on, my father was standing next to me saying, actually, I've changed my mind. I'm going to come for a walk with you. See, just because others are in the basement doesn't mean you have to go there with them. And actually, you living in the highest level of well-being yourself impacts everybody else around you and brings them up because they're designed for well-being too. They don't want to be living low mood style. They don't want to be living with life with a gun to their head about not enough time, too much paperwork, not enough money, can't do this, can't do that. They know inherently that they too are designed for well-being. So as I maintained my well-being, not through effort or force, just through, wow, he's in a low mood, I'm going for a walk, then he joined me. It was within minutes we were on the walk And I noticed that my father began to observe the nature around us. He fell out of low mood thinking and into the present moment. He started to notice the birds singing. He started to comment on the beauty of the trees. He started to comment on how the walk was enjoyable. The elevator of consciousness was going back up. Now, you might say, oh, that's because it was a nice day, Grace, and he had you home and it was nice for... No. He could have easily come on that walk and maintained his low mood thinking. But because we're designed to go back up the elevator, to go back into our well-being, the moment we just get present, we're there. Now, that sounds too simple, doesn't it? What do you mean I just have to get present and I feel better? That's all it is. So my father got present and he went back to his paperwork with a fresher state of mind, got it done in an easier way, likely in a quicker time frame. And he learned something new about, I'm allowed to enjoy this moment even before the paperwork's finished. And how many of us are making up the rule? Well, we can't do what we want to do until we get that done. We can't feel how we want to feel until we complete that task or that activity or make that amount of money or until that person is in a better mood. We really want to take care of our own state of mind first, putting your own peace first, because as you do that, it infiltrates those around you. And it also just makes for a much nicer experience of life. So just a little recap here. And yeah, I'll take questions in a little sec, but just a recap here. Your low mood is nothing to be concerned about. Number one. Number two, you have indicators, powerful indicators for when you're there. Those feelings of tension, stress, upset, living life with a gun to your head, not enough time, scarcity, communication starting to go badly with others, bitches and bastards. Those are all indicators, not of a terrible world that's suddenly not on your side, but of a mood drop. And you want to make friends with those indicators and not be too hard on yourself when you're there. You want to stop trying to be Superman or Superwoman in a low mood. Okay. This is why people end up putting the brakes on. They put the brakes on their love life the moment they fall into a low mood. Have you ever noticed that? You start thinking to yourself, oh shit, this isn't the man for me. Oh no, see, I knew this wasn't going to work out. Oh my God, no, we shouldn't have got married. Again, in a low mood, everybody looks like a bastard. Okay, they really do. Suddenly your husband or your boyfriend is not the man you thought he was. Now that's all very outside in, it's all very innocent, but that's a beautiful indicator too that you've dropped. You've dropped. Again, try not to make decisions about your love life or your business until the elevator of consciousness goes back up. Because when it goes back up, you have access to wisdom, you see more clearly, and you see people in their true divine essence rather than in their personality or low mood. Make all the decisions you want from there. Make all of the choices you want from there. And if you still find, hey, this isn't inspiring me, then that's fine, but you're coming at it from a clean place. So that's enough for me talking for the moment. If you have a question, if you have a comment, if you want to hear something more deeply, just come on and let me know. You can unmute yourself and we'll take it from there. Karen, I think you had your hand up, did you?
Yeah. Oh, I think you really said it, but I just wanted to add a footnote to the process. Um, with the example with your dad, we work just like the laws of physics. And when we give resistance, it strengthens without us intending the other person's position. And because you were so accepting and you were able to be so accepting at that moment, he didn't have any resistance, so you could let go more easily and readily of his not wanting to go for the walk. He didn't get defensive because you did not add to the resistance by objecting. You accepted him for what he was at that moment. That's all I wanted to add, that it's a law of physics. It's like a pendulum. When you don't add resistance, the pendulum will start to swing back automatically in a more positive direction.
Yeah,
So,
thank you, Karen. Thank you. Yeah, and and even beyond the law of physics, um, again, what I noticed there is people respond to our well-being.
yes.
And like you said, defensiveness, it isn't necessarily a feeling of well-being. Um, so when we are just in our true state, in our true nature, when we're just living from that place more of the time, we're not taking things personally. We're not taking it personally. That was one of the biggest shifts in my relationship with Francesco. I sort of understood when my mood was dropping, and I began to understand when his mood was dropping. And I just noticed that in our time together, we both stopped taking each other's moods so damn personally. And it made for a much nicer experience of relationship. And it's not like I taught him about moods. It was, for those of you that are thinking, oh, well, my partner doesn't know about this, Grace, it doesn't matter. My father didn't know about this either. But because you start to live well and you start to see what's really going on with people, that they've dropped or their insecurity is higher than normal, or their worry and fear, all symptomatic of that drop, is louder than normal, you start to realize, hey, their thing, whatever's going on with them is not about you. So it's a lot less personal. Thanks, Karen. Who else would like to come on? Who else would like to share or ask a question? Lovely to see new faces here and see all these great women showing up.
Patricia
Yay,
has a
but Pat,
question.
want to come on, Pat?
Hi. Yeah, it's really funny. I've actually found this, Grace, so amusing. I've laughed since you started saying it because I could see myself in the elevator. I could see all the different moods, and I love the bitches and the bastards. The bitches and the bastards really made me laugh because I could see where I'd sometimes go, oh, yeah, he's a bit funny. And then as I got lower and lower. So it's really nice to listen to this. And instead of trying to figure things out and getting beating myself up, it's been fun to listen and know that my habits and the elevators are really good pointers. It sort of turned things just to turn around, and just want to say it's great. I've absolutely haven't stopped laughing since I come on. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome, Pat. That's wonderful. I always think that humor and laughter is such a good sign of moving up the elevator of consciousness. We're dropping out of our seriousness and back into who we really are, back into that.
Thank you.
So yeah, thanks for sharing. Thank you. Anybody else? Anybody kind of sitting there thinking, yeah, but I've got an exceptional case, Grace. My, my situation or my partner is different, or anybody sitting there just you know, in a low mood and worried about that, and really not getting what I'm sharing here, because I can share in different ways. Just unmute yourself if you want to come on.
Grace, I would like to share.
Hey, who have we got?
Okay.
Hi, hello, Grace.
Hello, dear. Okay, nice to see you all. I just
Grace is hang on. Grace is one of my best friends, and she lives about 5 minutes drive from where I currently live. She is Italian with perfect English. Okay, go ahead.
the perfect English, I won't go for it. But anyway, I hope I do make myself understood. Anyway, I just wanted to say that, yes, it's totally true. And I can surely confirm what you said. I had a situation for some years with my sister where her low moods and her vision so highly negative was really tearing our relation to pieces. Okay. But, you know, I kept high, like you said before, Grace. You know, I learned that thanks to you, Grace. I started with you, and, you know, I kept my vision so high, and I said, you know, that's not going to take me down. And I did also understand why she was like that, you know. So at the end, I love to say that she's coming way up, you know, where I am. And although she'll never admit it, because that's not the way she is, okay, no way. But I swear it, she just follows my path. Of course, she's never going to say it. But whatever I do, you know, Grace, you know, we talked about it so many times. She follows my example, although she criticizes everything that I do, but she follows my example, and she's there way up. And it's beautiful. And there is no need to say, well, I told you so, or there is no need to say, oh, but you were not like that. You used to say exactly the opposite. You know, it's just beautiful to see that someone is going up there with you. You know, it's a feeling to share. Thank you, Grace. Thank you for
that's a great. Thank you for sharing that example, Gracie, because that is such a good example. You know, it points to the fact that people inherently recognize in us a level of well-being that they inherently know that's available for me too, that they have that app already in them. And we don't want to be concerned about how long it takes them to get there or anything like that. But you can see that just living your life is enough of an example.
Absolutely.
Okay. And Grace's testament, by the way, just in case you think I always live in a high mood, I don't. Grace's testament to many dinners we've had together where I will show up and be like, that bloody bitch, or this such and such a thing happened, and oh my God, I need a drink. You know, we're not saying that, you know, you just kind of go up the elevator and you stay there. You know, you're going up and down regularly. But the beautiful thing about just having the understanding that that's all that's happening is you stop taking it all so personal.
Yes.
Life gets less serious. People suddenly are less irritating to you. You even gain compassion towards others. And when I hear myself now getting into that bitchy state, there's some part of me that's like, yeah, Grace, you know what's going on here. You know, you know you've dropped, you know. So great example. Thank you, Grace, and good to see you here. Who else would like to come on or share or ask a question or hear something more deeply or make a comment? Alessandra.
Hi, Grace.
Hello.
Hi, everyone. I just wanted to ask you something because it's connected to something that I told you the other day, which was the tantrums, right? I find that when I'm in that lower mood state, nobody has to tell me I've got to go up the elevator, because I'm going to kick them up the arse, you know, if they do. I just want to stay there. I just want to call everybody names for the time that I need, you know, to just let it out. You know, I just have to name the whole bloody book of bad for everyone. You know, obviously I'm not that kind of person, because I'm usually very empathic and everything. But whenever I'm there, it's like, you know, when you tell somebody to stop smoking, they would just slap you in the face. Okay, just, you know, mind your own business. You know, that's quite what happens. And there's another thing that I'd like to ask you, because it's really helping me these days because of the trauma thing, you know, things that happen in everyone's lives, okay? And because your experience is, you know, at the top of the list, you know, if there has to be a list. And, you know, I've got my my fair share. I've had my fair share in the past few years. There is some kind of mechanism in me, which I haven't really pinned down, that really prevents me now from going up the elevator, because for some reason it's just like, you know, the old ladies in Italy having to mourn their loved ones, so they have to dress in black, they can't go to parties, they can't listen to music at the school, right, the grannies and stuff, so you can't really put any music inside the house because something bad has happened to you and you have to mourn. So I find myself, even if I don't belong to that, and I've lived most of my life abroad, I'm still kind of Southern Italian inside, you know, and there is a part of me that doesn't really want to push that 10 floor button, you know, to go all the way up, because I'm not supposed to. I'm still mourning. I'm still, you know, I'm not supposed to. And even the idea of going up there gets on my nerves, because it's not what I'm supposed to do. I'm still have to kind of shift this somehow. I don't know. There is some kind of, how can I say, I am sabotaging myself. I know this, but it's kind of a self-imposed limitation because of what's been happening in my life. And I just can't take that little, you know, break off the, you know, there is something that I cannot overrule. There is some kind of roof that I've set for myself, some kind of limit that somehow it's there, and I cannot really pin down, and I cannot even remove, you know, the bloody thing to kind of put, you know, press the top button and just go all the way up, you know, is where I'm supposed to be.
Well, this is a great question, Alessandra. This is really helpful, actually, because there's two things I want to point out here. One is, this is probably going to seem too simple, but the fact that you can see what you're doing to yourself is the game changer. I would be worried about you if you didn't see what you were doing. You know, the fact that you can come here and say, well, I know what I'm doing. I know I'm putting the limitation on, and there's something about me that thinks she should be continuing to do what society thinks is the right thing to do when you've been through a dramatic loss. Well, here's the good news. You can navigate trauma and loss from a good feeling, or you can navigate trauma and loss from an awful feeling. Neither are right or wrong. It just so happens that, you know, there's some conditioning in the society, in the culture, in the religion that has portrayed an image of when something bad happens to you, you should feel awful for the rest of your days or until you get it fixed. It was a bit like my father deciding, I'm not going to be in a good space until I get my paperwork completed. Who made that rule up? You get to be in a good feeling right now. And I can tell you, you navigate your loss and you navigate your tragedies and you navigate what's happened to you from a much nicer place. Doesn't take away from what happened, doesn't mean you won't drop back into the awful states, unfortunately, but it makes for a more graceful, wiser experience of the whole thing. So that's the first thing I want to share. Is wonderful you can see what you're doing. That alone changes the game. Alessandra, at some point you're going to get fed up with doing that. Second thing, we are not in charge of pressing the button on the elevator. And this is a misconception that most people have. And the self-help movement has kind of encouraged this notion, just change your thinking. Just think more positive. Just make yourself feel better. Just as you're not in charge of beating your own heart or digesting your own food, just as if you cut yourself, you have no control over how long that healing takes, but you know it takes place even if you don't keep looking at it. That is the same energy, that is the same universal intelligence that presses the button on the elevator of consciousness and moves you back to where you're supposed to be. Supposed to be is different on any given day. So let's not get into the idea here, ladies, that you're supposed to be up all the time and high all the time and on the top floor all the time. No. But let's also understand that if you want to feel crap, feel crap. That's what we're talking about. No resistance, no trying to be different to how you are, because without that resistance, the universal energy has the opportunity to take over and press the button and help you go back to the feeling you know so well, which is well-being. It's who you are at your core. It's a nicer feeling place. It's why people engage a lot of things that they engage, even if those habits look bad or look wrong. It's why sometimes we're running to the refrigerator at all hours of the day, because we're seeking relief to get back to who we know we truly are. We've just forgotten that we don't have to do that. That's optional. We're not so in charge of when we go back up. Is that making sense at all, Alessandra? Is that speaking to you at all?
That is kind of a relief, I have to say, because, after reading so much in the well-being kind of world, the idea that you have to press that 10, the top button at the elevator and nothing happens and you keep pressing just makes you hysterical in the end. So this is kind of, I feel more at peace with the fact that there's a healing process in between and that I'm not in charge, because I usually feel in charge of everything. So thank you for that, because it's a new piece of information for me. And that kind of says, okay, am I not in charge here? Wonderful. Okay, that's beautiful. It's a beautiful piece of info. Thank you.
Good. Yeah. And it's, it's not just information, but truth. Truth comes with a feeling of peace, Truth comes with a feeling of relief. And there is something very helpful about knowing that. When I have fallen into low moods and I've fallen into deep feelings of loss and regret and grief, and everything looks terrible, I inherently remember, oh yeah, but this is just a drop at the moment. This is not indicative of my future. This does not represent the whole relationship that I had and the whole life that I had. In fact, if anything, I'm not seeing very clearly when I'm in that mood. So often things happen to us that we just cannot fathom our way forward or out of it. And yet, the day will come where you say, oh, thank God that happened. That has crossed my mind. I have said to myself in my lowest states, and I've heard Francesco said to me too, the day will come where you will experience gratitude for my freeing you forward. And sometimes in business, when business falls apart, that too is being freed forward. And we don't see it in the moment. Everybody, innocently, we think we're getting pushed out or we're getting left behind. And I hear from people all the time, the business deal didn't go through, Grace, and they don't want me. They said they wanted me and I've changed their minds. If you can start to see that you're being freed forward, no matter what is happening in your life, rather than being pushed out, at some point, and it doesn't matter how long it takes, it might take me 20 years to say it, I don't care. But at some point, we all come to a state of seeing clearly and saying, thankfully, oh, gratitude that happened. Wasn't in charge, couldn't handle it at the time, looked like the worst thing in the world. Gratitude that happened. You're not in charge of when that gratitude occurs. But keep in mind, being freed forward, not being pushed out, not being abandoned, not being rejected. All right. So just a quick mention that if you're enjoying this conversation about well-being, going deeper in this area, myself and Mavis Karn, and I know many of you are joining us, which is great. We're starting our Essential Selfishness 4-week course on Thursday. So Thursday, June 17th. We're running for 4 Thursdays, 90-minute sessions. Azul has just kindly put the information in the chat box. If you would like to join us to go deeper, and obviously that conversation is also helping you move up the elevator of consciousness and experience life more up there, more of the time, then I'd highly recommend you join us for that. We have an offer of around £147 for the 4 weeks. And we would look forward to having you there. I think, Azul, we've got like maybe 2 spaces remaining. Is that right? Before we cap it. So if it's something that you want to do, I'd encourage you to book on the link today or at the latest tomorrow. So unless there's another question or comment, and I know I've kind of gone through as much as I can on this one today. There might be a part 2 to this subject, but if there's another question or comment, I'll take it now.
Yeah, I just wanted to say something, Grace. Something that you alluded to earlier about how other people see you when you're coming from this higher state. I just wanted to share a brief little story that happened to me at work. I work at a part-time retirement. I work part-time at a retirement community, and when I first started working there about a year ago, there's this lovely couple there. They're in their mid-90s. Bert and Marge is their name, and I got to know them. And as the days and weeks went by, we'd have this little dialogue. And after about a month or so, Bert came up to me and he said, "Do you meditate?" Just like that. And I said, well, I used to have a meditation practice like quite regularly, but I don't do that practice anymore. But I kind of feel like I'm in this meditated state all the time now. And he said, "Oh, you just have this like amazing, calm and peaceful aura about you." And so you're right. Like people do. I'm just being me, but they see it, like they feel it. And so, I think you're right. Like people see you and see where you're coming from, and they probably feel within themselves that they can be like that too.
Yeah. Thank you, Lynn. That's a great share. Yeah, we're all a bit like animals. If I look at my dogs when I take them out for a walk, they're just scenting, they're using the scent to kind of navigate and find what they want, and this is interesting and that's not interesting, and they're sniffing out what they want. And humans are the same. We all, we don't realize it, but we're energetic beings, and we can sniff out when somebody's coming from a clean space or place, and when somebody's coming from a let's say not less of a clean space, but maybe more of a space where they're wanting to take advantage of you, or they're wanting to undermine you, or whatever. So we all get a sense of each other, is what I'm summing up with here. We all get a sense of each other. And the more you can not be in resistance to your mood or their mood, the easier it is for you to go back up the elevator, back to well-being, where you're designed to be. And by the way, ladies, there's nothing like a good sleep to help you. Sometimes you just need a bloody nap in the afternoon, Italian style, or you just need to go to bed early, or you just need to sleep in a bit. Do not underestimate the power of a good nap. Okay, if I'm going to recommend, well, Grace, what should I do to help the elevator? Take care of getting yourself a nice sleep or a nice nap any time of day. All right, lovely to be here, ladies. I'll see you next week, and lots of love. I hope to see you on the Essential Selfishness course with us, and take care. Ciao. Ciao.